Hello, my name is Kathy Walters, and I'm going to be your instructor for HIM 230, Quality Improvement in Healthcare. So what I'd like to do is get you acquainted with our course site on Moodle and show you how to navigate and explain a few things. So hopefully you're right under here. Please start here and you're watching this YouTube. And so I'd like to go into the course syllabus and review a few things. So basically, I have my contact information here. And my office hours are Monday and Wednesday from 12:45 to 3:15 in Building 30. And I'm very good about responding to email, but I do ask if you could please identify your name and this course, what course you're taking, because I have multiple courses and many students. So that's just something I'm asking that would be helpful for me. Here's the required materials. The book is the 6th edition. And you can obviously get it through Lane Bookstore, which is probably the most expedient way. AHIMA Press, like any publisher, is a bit proprietary, and so hopefully, you might be able to find used copies via the Titan Bookstore if you get there early enough. But you can order it through AHIMA Press, and there's the website there for that if you choose to do so. A little bit about instructional methodologies. Obviously, you'll be reading and doing writing and research and even doing some evaluation. A little bit about Moodle. And then just some items here for academic integrity. This is the Student Code of Conduct. And then campus resources, Tutor Central, great resource, library hours for Lane's Library, and then the Student Help Desk if you should need any type of help with your devices and that type of thing, and network access. Class participation, I would like to talk about this, and I will a little bit further on, and so I'll get back to that. Late policy, for those of you that have had me and those of you that haven't, I do not accept late work. So please be mindful of due dates and taking care of items that are needed to be done by Sunday evening. With the exception of the first week, most things are due by Sunday evening. And then some learning outcomes, and then these are our competencies for accreditation as we're working towards that for the AAS HIM degree. So these are just listed down here in the syllabus. And then grading policy, which is in compliance with Lane's grading policy. So, and due to attendance and grading policies, you must submit something during the first week of class, and so you'll have your self-introduction form to do, and I'll show you that in just a minute. And that's due by Thursday evening, this Thursday evening coming up once we start school, which is the 10th, by 11:55 p.m. So you need to make sure you take care of that, otherwise you may be dropped from the course, and that's out of my hands as far as policy. So generally, like I said, work is due by Sunday evening. All right. And then here's a little bit about online attendance. So I just want to speak to that for just a minute. And I know life happens and we all have good intentions to be diligent with our work, but it does require consistent attendance. And I think many of you that have had online classes, you would probably even maybe argue that it's just as rigorous as a brick and mortar class. In fact, maybe even more so. So to wait until Sunday evening to do things is just not a good practice for success, and it's not a good practice for several reasons, but mainly that you won't have command of the subject matter as you're waiting till that late in the week. Secondly, if you do have questions and it's a Sunday night, it makes it difficult to help you and address issues that you may be encountering. And lastly, each of the chapter quizzes has a 12-hour lockout, but you can take 2 attempts. So if you go on Sunday night, you take the test at, say, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you've prevented yourself from being able to take the quiz a second time. So just be mindful of that. Case studies and application activities, which will begin in week 3. I do have a rubric for that, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then on the last part of the syllabus is the whole course sequence of assignments, and everything's laid out with the point values and what you need to get done. So you can take a look at that. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll go back to our course page, and then just going to deal with a few other things here on the actual website. Instructor announcements here is where I will do all the announcing of, like, when I post grades and I finish grading an assignment, or any type of news that I want to share. And this is a forced subscription, so you'll all get that. The student connection form and the course questions obviously is dealing more specifically with questions that you may have, and I will check that. If your question or your concern is more of a personal nature, it might be best to email me. All right, and then just a couple of links here are online courses for me, a link to tutoring services, and then just 2 sites that you might be using pretty regularly, and that's the AHIMA, American Health Information Management Association site, as well as the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. All right, so what I'd like to do here is just go through a typical week and show you they're going to be similarly set up with regards to how I approach each week. We have the due date and then a list of things that I wish for you to do. So obviously you're going to read the course syllabus for the week 1, and then you're going to post your introduction to the self-introduction forum, which is right here, and I'll show you how to do that for those of you that may or may not be familiar with how forums work. And then here is just a QI video, which really just is including W. Edwards Deming and Don Berwick, Joseph Duran, and Walter Shewart, which were educational leaders and innovators in QI, just-in-time, organizational development, manufacturing types of things, workflow management, and this whole movement really started back in Japan in like the late 70s and early 80s. So you'll come across these names as you begin to read about the early leaders of QI, particularly in the corporate world. So it's a good video just to kind of check out. These are the publisher PowerPoints that will be included each week. They are not sufficient prep for taking the review questions or the quiz, and so you need to make sure you take those. You need to take those after you read the chapters. This is a rather lengthy document, and you can scroll down to page 2, but it gives you some real great background. It was the IOM, the Institute of Medicine's big publication with talking about the quality of healthcare. Similarly here, this is also another IOM roadmap of the nation in 2008, which has some pertinent information. So I will always have additional resources here and then links, and so I encourage you to take a look at those and make sure that you get familiar with some of those additional links, because what's nice about the additional resources is they're there for the whole course, and you can go back and refer to them at such time that you may want to take a look at them. So the objectives for each chapter are going to be listed up here. And like I said, there will be some weeks that you'll have 2 chapters. Weeks 1 and 2 are just 1 chapter, and then in week 3 we get going on case studies. So the quizzes, like I said, are 2 attempts. They're 25 minutes with a 12-hour lockout. And so what I'd like to do now, just to kind of finish up a few more things, is I'd like to go into the self-introduction forum and show you a couple things, and then I want to just show weeks 2 and 3 to you. So those of you that are not familiar with going into the forum, you just click, and then basically what you have here is you have some information. So I just say here, hello, please post to the class forum an introduction of yourself and type your name in the subject text box. Answer the following questions. Why are you taking the course? Your academic goals? Any experience with online courses, with health information technology or health information management? And so when you start, you just click right here under Add a New Discussion Topic, and then what comes up is you get a subject box and a text box for the message. So I'm typing in my name. Okay, so I say here, please type your name in the subject text box. Okay, and then you're going to answer these questions and share whatever you'd like with our, all of us in the course and your colleagues. And then you scroll down, and then you hit Post to Forum. And you have 30 minutes if you want to go back in and edit it, and you can do that. Of course, I have one that I posted to you guys already, and that's the one that I just did now, just as an example. So that's how the forum works. All right. And then lastly, just kind of want to go through here and show you weeks 2. Same setup, again with additional resources. Week 3, we will have 2 chapters. So obviously you'll be doing a case study, an application activity, and this is the grading rubric, and so I want you to make sure you familiarize yourself with this. And the reason I'm pointing this out is that this is a 200 level course now. Most of you are really on your way, almost completed with your courses of study and whatever your academic goals are. But it's important that you're able to really have some organization and structure into what you're writing and be able to support your arguments and what you're observing within the case studies and apply the information appropriately. So this is the kind of grading score and rubric that I'm going to be using. And, I'm expecting that as the quarter goes on, when I'm giving you feedback, that you will, apply that to the subsequent assignments. So go ahead and be sure to take a look at that. And then, again, 2 chapters here, so you got the PowerPoints and then the additional resources. There was one thing here in week 3 that I wanted to point out. This book, The Fifth Discipline by Peter Senge, was a great book that was out in the early 1990s about learning organizations and the culture of learning and what does quality mean and how does a corporation improve themselves. And I actually have that book if anybody wishes to borrow it. But there's an abstract there that you can click on and take a look at. So, okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. I wish you all the best in this new year and new winter quarter, and I think we'll all learn from each other regarding quality improvement in healthcare, and thank you, and we'll see you virtually next week.